So I've mentioned before that being in the kitchen is not something that I necessarily love. It's not like a creative hobby of mine. It's not necessarily an outlet. I think in different seasons of our lives, the Lord uses different areas of service that, are just our natural responsibilities as like a byproduct of that phase of life. He turns those into enjoyable activities for us, and at times I find that being the case in the kitchen. I did not grow up, like I've said before, I did not grow up in a house where I learned how to cook from scratch, or I learned a bunch of kitchen tricks and just became overly comfortable with cooking and baking. But it is definitely one of those skills that I've been trying to strengthen and build upon over the last several years, especially since becoming a homemaker. But even before I was married, like my parents finished out the basement in their house that they lived in at the time while I was like a senior in college. I was about to graduate, and they finished it out with the idea that, down the road, should that be their retirement home, they would have something ground level that they could live in, and it be easily accessible for the garage, and it would have a kitchen and a living space and a bedroom and all of this. So I went ahead and moved down into their finished basement once that was completed. So I was like paying them a small amount in rent and just trying to kind of find my footing in being an adult with an absolute safety net and wonderful blessing of still being in my parents' home during that time. But I was already trying to learn how to cook things in my tiny little kitchenette, and just acquiring different pots and pans from the thrift stores and different things like that I was so excited to start strengthening those muscles, if you will. Now I can flex them a little more. Definitely not as much as I want to. I still have so much to learn. We're still this year really hoping to have a successful kitchen garden, really is what it boils down to. It's not going to be much more than that probably. Last year it was a very small scale. It was our first go at it. My grandfather had gardens growing up. The purpose of it was to serve just our family, him and his kids and grandkids, and so we got to pick and string green beans and things of that nature, but it wasn't anything like I did not have a part in it all the time, because we did not live right next door or on the same property as him. It was a good drive away from us, so we would go during harvest season, or we would go at different times and just help out where the work was a lot more than one person could handle on their own. But in saying all of that, I have a tiny bit of experience with that growing up, and now we're trying to implement that in our own home. We're really trying to be more self-sustainable in a lot of ways, and then also just knowing where our food comes from and having these skills should we ever need them in times of emergency, in times of cost of living adjustment, for just the bare minimum. Like if we simply cannot afford things, I want to know that we have access to ingredients, and then I want to know how to use those ingredients. So all of that to say, I am trying to figure out how to keep a functional kitchen, how to keep systems that really work for us as a family. And one of those is keeping our snacks organized. And I love clear containers because you can see what you have, you can see what you're running low on, and it's just all there. It's very quick for me to take an inventory and to assess what I need to add to our grocery list, or what maybe we would enjoy that we don't have a lot of. If we have some spare room in our grocery budget, we can add in some fun stuff like that. And also it just when all of the bins are the same size, it keeps them so much more organized, especially these that you can see that stack. Those are really ideal, but it keeps the pantry so much more organized. We do not have a large pantry. We have one cabinet that has 2 doors. It's like a floor to ceiling situation, as you probably saw previously in this video, but that's our pantry. And then as I shared a week or so ago in a previous video, we have our master bedroom closet that's also our laundry room and our bulk pantry storage. So that gets crowded very quickly, and we really just try to keep it for canned goods or emergency preparedness on those shelves. So I'm really just trying to keep our kitchen functional and keep it in such a way that gives me time and I just like clarity and peace of mind to be learning recipes and the science of the kitchen. I want to be learning all of those things and not constantly tripping over the clutter of my kitchen or feeling like I'm constantly having to clean it. I'm just saying that having a space within my home that is a well-oiled machine gives me the freedom and the space and the time to just be able to truly focus on learning more about what I'm actually doing in it versus always having to just be cleaning it or straightening things up. If I'm being completely honest, it's also creating some independence with my toddlers. If you're new here, I have 2 little girls. One is 1, one is 3. And it just seems like we're in that phase where like they are, they constantly graze all throughout the day, as many toddlers do. And they want snacks and they want different things like that. And as I've heard before, there's very few things that toddlers have control over in their lives. There's very few things that they actually have some power in their choices. And a couple of those things would be like picking out what they wear. Another thing would be picking out the snack that they want to eat. And so I wanted to make it easier for them to be able to see a snack and tell me that they wanted it. And of course we have the power to like veto that if it's not an ideal time, if it's right before dinner or whatever. But just trying to create a little bit more independence in them, especially by the snacks that are pre-bagged, and we could sit them down in baskets where they can get them and then simply bring it to us to be open for them. We don't have to prep a whole snack container for them. I really like that idea. I did have snacks sitting out, as you saw, on their little kitchen, their little play kitchen. I then later thought about, because we had some people coming over that had small children, and I was like, my kids are still new to this. I certainly don't want to have to be telling other people's kids, like, no, not right now, or okay, we've hit our limit, or anything like that. So I just tucked those away and thought, maybe later on, but for now, we'll keep them organized in clear bins, but not out where they can see them all the time. I do love the idea of using play kitchens in more of a Montessori type of way, where it's like a functional kitchen for a toddler. And that's kind of what I was going for by moving their play kitchen back into the actual kitchen space. I had moved it out into the hall. It's kind of jumped around a few places, but especially with Christmas decor being up recently, it just needed to be out of the way for play purposes. But now that is more functional, it's serving as an extra cabinet space for their dishes, and I'm loving that, because as I'm emptying the dishwasher and they're helping me, I can tell them, okay, these are y'all's plates, these are y'all's bowls, can you please go put them in your kitchen cabinets? And Rosie, our 3-year-old, is loving it. She loves it. She's like, this goes in my kitchen, this goes in my kitchen, and she just loves organizing it and rearranging it, and it's super fun so far. So I've heard my entire life, seen this quote on, like wall signs and home decor and different things at Kirkland's and Hobby Lobby and all that. The kitchen is the heart of the home. And I don't know if maybe that's just a cultural thing around here, because we live in the South, and that's, we like to eat our fried chicken and our good food. And it's just something that I've always grown up with. We do everything around food here, but maybe it is. But at the same time, I also truly believe, like at the heart of it, it is a scriptural thing. There's many places in the New Testament that talk about breaking bread and how they broke bread from house to house and they ate with gladness and singleness of heart. It was a matter of fellowship and of nourishment and encouragement, being with one another. And I think that is very much like where my focus is. I definitely think, we use it as an excuse these days to eat all kinds of stuff that is not overly nourishing for us. So I'm not trying to take things out of context here, but I just have noticed that not only is it the heart of the home in the truest sense in that way, but it's also in many homes, at least where we are located, it's the heart of the home, like physically, geographically. It is the middle room of the home, or at least one of the middle rooms of the home. And so in our house, at least, it becomes such a catch-all for everything that passes through. As you've seen me picking things up and cleaning them and just trying to put things in their place, one of my biggest goals moving forward is to keep the kitchen strictly designated for kitchen items. And we're very fortunate that for Christmas the girls got like an arts and crafts table. So before that we were using our kitchen table for all of their arts and crafts. So a lot of that stuff would be left in here on our buffet table or on our kitchen counters or wherever. So we don't have that as an excuse anymore. Like, we cannot blame the mess of our kitchen on arts and crafts, because they have their own place to be a mess at, and they do a very good job of being messy there, and that's fine. That's what it's there for. So my goal right now is, I wouldn't say that this was definitely not like a New Year's goal or resolution or anything. This is just something that I've stumbled upon in the last several days, week, what have you. Keeping things out of the kitchen that are not kitchen things. So then whenever I have a constant rotation of dishes that need done, or, food on the counter that needs put away because it's been cooked, it's been eaten, now we have leftovers to enjoy later, I don't feel so overwhelmed in cleaning up those things, or in simply unloading and reloading my dishwasher, or taking out the trash, because like when you count the number of things that are in the kitchen to actually manage, it's not as many. There's not as much clutter sitting around. What's there is necessary for, not like absolutely necessary, right? Some of it's still just convenience or like enjoyable to use in the kitchen, like different gadgets and stuff, but it has a very specific purpose, and that's why it's in its place. And so I think that's also so far helping me to manage like the refilling of canisters, the wiping down of countertops, all of these things, because there's just not all this extra stuff in the way. I gotten into a routine back before the holidays, because then everything just got crazy, but I got into a routine of putting the kitchen to bed every night. So I had heard that on a podcast or a video of some other YouTuber somewhere at some point, and the idea was simply that before you go to bed at night, you make sure that the dishes are out of the sink, they're in the dishwasher. You don't necessarily have to run your dishwasher, but your countertops are wiped down, your table is clean. Everything is in its place when you go to bed at night. So when you wake up the next morning, it's ready for you to cook a meal, it's ready for you to run out the door. Whatever that day has in store, you're ready for it. And so is your kitchen. And I love that idea. But then I kind of got to be like I was becoming a super perfectionist about it, which I tend to do in many areas of my life, and it's an issue sometimes. But then I thought, well, if I'm putting the kitchen to bed, then I should probably be putting the living room to bed. I need to pick up all the toys, I need to organize the craft station, I need to make sure that laundry is folded and put away, I need to make sure that laundry is in the washing machine to be started the next morning when we leave for school, I need to do this, like wipe down the bathroom, all of these things. And it was like a full-blown cleaning house every night before bed. And so it just became so much that I just stopped doing any of it. And I became very discouraged in that. So this has been a lot more doable for me so far. Simply keeping that one simple idea and concept of each day, at the end of the day and throughout the day, honestly, all throughout it. If I see anything in the kitchen, if it doesn't belong, it doesn't get to stay. And so far, I'm really loving that. I'm loving how simple it's keeping everything. I'm loving how much more manageable it feels, and I'm loving how decluttered it feels also. So if you are looking for a simple practical tip to try and implement in making your kitchen space more enjoyable, maybe try that one, because the rest of my house can be chaos, and usually it is. But as long as my kitchen is clean, because that's where I'm at for most of the day when I'm home, I feel like I am a little bit less stressed. I have heard a lot of talk about strawberry cobbler this week, so I felt inspired to make one for us for dinner tonight. But also, I've been inspired in many ways by hearing of these said strawberry cobblers, simply because we lost a very close family friend. I'm not going to pretend that we were as close to her as some of my relatives were, but it's been another very hard and unexpected loss. If you haven't been around for a while, I know some have, so I try not to talk about this all the time, but my dad passed away back in August of this past year. It was very unexpected. It was during a nap. He had a blood clot. It was, very sudden, very shocking. And this was a very similar situation, but through all of the, visiting with the family and friends and seeing people that we haven't seen in a really long time, they talked about how often this sweet lady would make strawberry cobblers for people, but not only, like, the strawberry cobbler wasn't her thing. It was the heart behind it. It was the fact that she was always cooking meals for people, or always having a huge pot of soup on her stove for Sunday after church, where she would just, she and her family would say, hey, why don't you and the kids come over and hang out and we'll play cards and you don't have to worry about lunch. And there were so many different activities that she just did like that she made seem effortless or seem easy, and made it so easy to say yes to. And then when you got there, you felt so much love from her because of just how she lived her life. Like when my mom would go and pick me up from hanging out at her house, she said that she never ever seemed like she was too busy to just say, yeah, sit down at the table, let's sit and chat for a couple hours, see what's going on in each other's lives, and everything that we have to do will still be there in a couple hours. Like, it's not gonna hurt it to wait a little bit. And so I've just been very inspired in all of those ways to be way more intentional in my kitchen, because through this sweet lady's repeated stories of strawberry cobblers and vegetable soups and whatever else it is that she provided for so many people in her life, I have gotten to see, and now as an adult, and I experienced it as a child because, like I said, I grew up with them, but I obviously didn't understand the fullness of her intentionality until now as a grown woman and a homemaker myself, what kind of impact those acts of service can have on people. So I'm just really trying to focus in more on my kitchen, focus in more on the heart of this home and how it's serving not only the people inside of it, but also the ones around us outside of our walls. Whenever I was filming this video, I never really know what my videos are going to become. They just kind of take shape as I go, and I feel like that's what keeps it the most real and the most natural for me personally. But as I was going through the filming of this, I was just like, wow, this whole entire video is just going to be the kitchen. Some people would say, how boring. How boring. I do not want to sit and watch someone in their little kitchen all day long, and it's not even a fancy kitchen, It is real life, and I think I am always so encouraged, probably encouraged the most, by simply watching people show up and do the mundane things and do them with great heart and great intention. And so that's kind of what I wanted to share with you. Not that I get it right all the time by any means, but that I'm trying, that I'm making efforts, and maybe that'll provide some gentle motivation for someone else to do the same. I often find myself being so encouraged and motivated by sharing these things with you guys. It's already thoughts in the back of my mind, and I'm not just creating these ideas and trying to be purposeful for the sake of having content on YouTube, but it definitely is almost like holding me accountable to do these things as well. And I know that I need and I have real life accountability also, but it's just a really cool thing that the Lord's using in this community, in this channel, to inspire me and encourage me. And I pray and hope that it's doing the same for you. I hope that you're always welcome here. I talk about my faith, but even if you don't believe the exact same things as me, I want you here. I love that you're here. So hope that you never feel anything other than that. But if you've not already, please feel free to subscribe and turn on notifications. I try to post every week on Sunday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, I would love for you to come and hang out with us more. So hope you're having a great day wherever you're at, and I'll catch you next time. Bye, guys.